Hey guys, welcome back to Ancient Amnesia Podcast. This is Josh and Dave.
Hey guys.
And today we wanted to talk about ancient warfare psyops. And we're going to introduce Aztec warfare psyops in a series. But we wanted to talk about, the origins of these ancient warfare tactics and kind of where these things started. Where in time, Dave, did these things begin? Do we have kind of an origin point to when this would have started occurring?
Well, I think it would be the change from agricultural, at the point where agricultural took over and tribal ended. A lot of people had issues with, changing over and, the troubles that would be associated with that. But what happened was you had people that were generally, if, they had a problem with another group of people, they would just leave. They would just, hop on their horses or whatever and just get out of there. But that's where it changed. When we became agricultural, we had property. And we had to protect that property, and we had to be there year round. Warfare came around, and I think the early warfare was almost like two angry neighbors, where they really would just try to outthink each other,
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could have a situation where one agricultural society produced more crops and the other one wasn't able to, so they literally were going in there just to take the assets because they needed to survive.
Right.
And like you said, I mean, this is when you'd have to kind of fortify your farms and crops and make sure that no one could come in.
They hadn't perfected trade yet. They hadn't perfected trade as much. So that was an issue. They didn't know how to get along and how to, be civil.
Yeah. We know with Göbekli Tepe, now we have a, time scale of 10, 12,000 years old when we have these structures being built, these possible agricultural societies that go that far back in time. So, this is something that's pretty ancient. We always think of it as kind of a modern thing, but there was a lot of different things that they used to try to intimidate. Part of I would think at the very beginning would be walls, giant walls and
absolutely
and structures. Like why would I even try? I mean, these guys
all visuals. You could have three guys run a few hundred yards apart with torches. And, when you knew your enemy was coming over the hill or whatever, and they would come over the hill and at night and they would see three torches that were hundreds of yards apart. Well, they're going to assume that the entire area between those torches is filled with people with weapons, so that's the original psyop right there, is just getting into their head, just messing with their head.
And so the Aztecs in particular had two types of things. They had more than this, but particularly death whistles. And when they found these things, they were, they thought they were just kind of like toys. They had the howling sound. They sounded really weird. They didn't sound kind of beautiful. They sounded kind of scary and strange.
It's not a pretty sound.
Yeah. And so then with further study, they realized they were using these in war. So when we imagine the Aztecs, it's just not like your ancient wars where you have these open fields and these forests and these horses. This is in the middle of a jungle. I mean, these guys are literally in the middle of a dense jungle. I mean, you literally have to hack your way out of it.
Yep.
And these guys were
chopped into pieces. I mean, look at this scene right here. You combine that with 1,000 people around you blowing in the skulls, and making the sound. It's like the Zuzuelas or whatever those things are were at the soccer matches a few years back.
Right.
It gets into people's heads, and that resonance and that frequency can really mess with people. It can.
Well, it's like I was saying, these guys dressed like jaguars. Yeah. They literally skinned entire jaguars.
They stunk like hell.
They stunk like dead jaguars. They were blowing death whistles, and they were in a chain of like 100 men. They were going through the jungle. I mean, I'm saying these things would scare every jaguar, every major creature.
Dude, I'd run.
I can imagine animals coming through my village.
I would run like hell, man, if I saw that shit.
They come in, they capture you, they take you back to the holding cells, and they ritually murder you.
Yeah, like right here. There you go. There it is.
Yeah, and it's unbelievable. So, and this is psychological, and you basically just ran and get the hell away from them. There was no use in trying to defend your territory. Yeah. These guys were literally animals. I mean, they were
fight or flight for you, and flight is always, back then, flight was always your best choice, because fight, usually ended up, with your demise, with your head rolling down the side of a pyramid.
Yeah, these jaguar warriors, a jaguar warrior had to kill 5 or 6, guys, or I think capture them and take them back to the pyramid.
Bring them back for sacrifice.
And to become an eagle, you had to do that with 20 people. So if you had 100 eagle warriors, these guys are pretty intimidating. They're body painted up.
Yeah.
And even in their games, we talked about the ball courts before. and how these guys were, willingly sacrificing themselves to win the game. So
why would someone do that? Why would they basically say, I'm going to fight as hard as I can to win this, knowing that they're going to die? I mean, the honor was a completely different honor than it is now. It was very mental. It was very logical.
Yeah, death was actually respected, and they believed that it was a very magical thing.
Yeah,
they didn't look at it as something that would be feared. It was actually something to be desired.
Look at that picture, dude, right there. Well, maybe not that one.
But in this is cool. Yeah, right. Yeah. Dave likes that Aztec warrior.
Yeah.
But these guys, they were really, really into and fascinated with death, and they were very intimate with nature. So they really kind of intimidated in terms of really scaring the hell out of people. I don't think anybody would ever even try to go in there and try to take over something like that. That's why they don't.
Imagine a lake, the biggest lake you've ever seen, and in the middle of it is a gigantic complex, and when you're a little kid, if you live on the shores of that lake, you always dream, I'm going to get out there. So when you do finally get out there and it's time to sacrifice you're honored to do it. You've been thinking about it your whole life, and you're like, this is my destiny. And that's what's scary.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the things we like to do as we explore the ancient past is just look into the minds of the people. I think that's one of the most fascinating things for me, is to not just imagine the kind of outer surroundings of these things, but what was going on in the mind of these people? How can we attempt to relate to their state of being and their experience in this reality? We're going to do this often. We're going to do a series, so stay tuned. There's more to come. We are going to come back with some more of these ancient psyops and talk a little more about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Please go to our website, ancientamnesia.com, where you can find our articles and podcasts. We have over 65 podcasts recorded, so there's plenty there to dig through. Please join Ancient Amnesia on Facebook and join the fun. We've got a lot of people that are really smart, and we will see you guys next time.
Cheers, y'all. Thanks for watching.